Hello, Dr. Tawana Worlds by birth, also known as a disruptor. Did you know that millions who grew up in poverty also die in poverty? Have you ever heard the saying, what good can come out of the hood? Well, I'm here to disrupt for just a minute. Yes, I was that little girl that grew up in the hood, grew up in the ghetto, single mother, absent father, eating out of the trash can just to survive. But I was also that girl that determined way back then that I was not going to become a product of my past. And now I help others do the same thing. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. I help men and women from similar backgrounds find value in their own vault and create wealth from within. What's up, cousins? It is your girl, Dr. Tawana Worlds, and y'all already know what it is. I came by to disrupt, real short, sweet, and straight to the beat. First, before we get into anything, I want to say welcome to all of you who are just sliding by for the first time. Hopefully you stick around, come back, become a cousin, and welcome back to all my cousins that come and always sit with your girl, Dr. Tawana Worlds. Also, if you can go ahead and pay your admission fee over here, we all know over here that your admission fee is not a PayPal or a Stripe. It's a tag, it's a share, it's a like. And it costs free $99 and not much of your time to go ahead and hit that like button. If you have not, the subscribe button, go ahead and share this, tag somebody invited, copy the link, send it to a DM, send it to a text message. Tell them to come in and join us over here and hear all this good news, because this is the news that will change your life and your legacy. All right, without further ado, I am going to be covering one of the ways that our ancestors that came before us secured control, freedom, generational wealth, and legacy, and how you should be doing that. We should be doing that right now in this day and age, and that is called the power of land banking. This is how you take back your life. This is how you take back your finances. This is how you take back your power. Now, there are many different type of land purchases you can make and buy. All land, if you own dirt in any aspect, you'll never be broke. If you own any amount of dirt, you'll never be broke, because it is the structure or the foundation for everything that we, drive on, that we live on, that we work on. You need dirt to make it work. So if you own dirt in any type of dirt, you'll be well off. Okay. And we're going to cover a lot of different reasons why you should have you some dirt, and why these billionaires are out here moving the way that they're moving. Success leaves clues, people. You got to pick them up and apply them. It's not enough to pick them up and just keep them in your backpack or keep them in the back, somewhere on the shelf. No, you got to pick them up and apply them. Success. If you want to be successful, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be rich, if you want to be the first one in your family, if you want to be a landlord, you have to pick up the clues that are being left, because success leaves clues. And here go one. Billionaires are buying up one particular kind of land. And like I said, there's several different kind of land. There's land that has commercial space on it, retail, laundromats, car washes, banks, that you can actually acquire. There's also rural land, and then there's farmland, and that is what I'm going to be talking about on today. Farmland is your way to a life of legacy. Okay. With that being said, let me go ahead and get into the juice and the sauce. Now we're going to talk about why billionaires are buying farmland. What is their reason of buying farmland? Because if you pay attention to what they're doing, then you can go and do it. Number One reason why billionaires are buying farmland and why you should be buying farmland is because, first of all, it gives you control. Second of all, it gives you leverage. And thirdly, it gives you survival. Control meaning owning farmland, control over a finite resource, land plus water. Whoever controls food has influence over communities and even economies. Now, let me break that down because I probably went over somebody, a couple of y'all heads like, what did you say? Finite resource. What does all that mean? Owning farmland gives you control over communities and even over economies. That's exactly what it means. When you own farmland, you also own water. So something happened in your community, something happened in your state where the city water is contaminated or shut off, there's a main break, whatever the case may be, you have your own separate water. You have access to lakes. You have access to rivers. You have access to the aqueduct. You have access to wells. You control the dirt and the water. Cha-ching. Leverage is number 2. Why owning farmland brings you leverage? Because you can borrow against your land, like collateral, for loans, for funding. So you can go buy you some more land, right? That is the play. Let me go ahead and purchase this land. I can borrow against this land and take that money to go make me more money by purchasing land, borrow against that land to go buy me more money in land, and then take rinse, wash, and repeat. This is what the wealthy do. So you can borrow against your land. Big players leverage farmland across the world, okay? Because it gives them access to capital. Remember I said, if you own land, you'll never be broke. Period. If you own you some land, you'll never be broke. You can take dirt and turn it into cash flow. You can take dirt and turn it into equity. You can take dirt and turn it into finances. You can take dirt and turn it into a loan for commercial real estate or whatever you want to do. You can turn it into currency. Okay. Number 3, survival. The reason why you need to own you some dirt is because it creates a safety for survival, not only for you and your family, but for your community and the economy. In a crisis, food shortages, inflation, supply chain breakdowns, farmland isn't just an investment. It can literally feed you and your community for a long time. They have food shortages where, China say we ain't sending nothing else. Canada say, no, we ain't sending nothing else. They having the tariff wars where we going to charge you this much. So now there's a shortage. Your farm solves the problem. American grown, American owned. If you can't get it from China, you can get it from me. You feel me? So it solves a major problem. You will be the go-to in case anything ever happened where there was a shortage of something. Okay. Inflation. People don't know that when the cost inflates, the food demand does not go down. People still need to eat. And if you're growing food on your farmland, you're feeding people. So it is survival during inflation. It's survival during the supply chain breakdown. They say we ain't got no food coming in. Look, you got some because you done went out there and planted you some tomatoes, some cucumbers. You done went out there and planted you some cabbage. Whatever you done went and planted. Now you become the grocery store. Now you become, this is bigger than you. This is so much bigger than you. And this is why owning land gets you rich and keep you rich in real life, okay? It is inflation proof. It's an asset that protects against inflation. Farmland historically rises in value when inflation rises. So right now, farmland rises in value. Why? Because our prices have rose in value. We are in an inflationary, inflation period where we are seeing the cost of goods and rent and insurance elevated. Farmland right on up there. Okay. Farmland is right on up there. And this is why billionaires are buying it by the boatload. Here's an example. The USDA reports that average cropland values have consistently climbed, outpacing inflation for many years. Why? Because the food demand doesn't drop when prices rise. People still need to eat. People always will need to eat. And that makes farmland and owning farmland a hedge, which means a protection against inflation. Tax-free income and subsidies. You get tax breaks. As you being a farmer or owning farmland, you can claim agriculture exemptions. You can lower your property taxes. A lot of your income can be offset with deductions for equipment, improvements, and losses. Subsidies. The U.S. government will pay billions of dollars every year in a farm subsidies. That means for crops, disaster relief, conservation programs, they got all kind of money. If you are a farmer, they got billions of dollars. Now, people thought that, during the pandemic when they were giving out like 80,000 for the PPP loan, they thought that was something. But baby, let me tell you, the farmers were getting checks for like 1.2 million. 700, 800,000. They was begging you, hey, if you have a restaurant or if you have like what you call those markets, farmers market, if you own your own farmland, there was so much money available. I was so mad because I didn't even know nothing about it. I didn't know nothing about it. I was like, man, that would have been lovely. It just would have been lovely. It would have set us up real nice. Okay. So subsidies that you get from the government for being a land owner. Farmland often produces cash flow that is tax advantage, especially compared to wages or regular rental property. It's a huge advantage. It's totally separate from you leasing out a house or you managing or owning apartment complex and renting out apartment doors. This has a huge tax advantage. Water rights. When you own the dirt and own the water, that equals power, beloved. Land often comes with water rights. Legal access to rivers, legal access to lakes, legal access to underground aquifers and purifiers in many states. Water rights are just as valuable as the land itself. Okay. This is why hedge funds and billionaires don't just buy dirt. They don't just want the dirt. They want the resources that is attached to the dirt. Okay. Food security and crisis. We kind of went over that. Farmland is one of the few assets that produces direct survival goods. Food, water, livestock, timber, and feed. So during a security crisis, you can provide all of that. Hey, I grow my own vegetables. Hey, you can raise your livestock on, my farmland. Hey, I can, harvest hay every year for your livestock on my farmland. I got food that I grow on my farmland. I can plant trees for timber on my farmland, and I own water. I'm telling you, get you some dirt. I don't care what else is going on in the world right now. That's why God gave us land. God gave us land so we can be landlords. That was the original intent of Genesis, not to come and work, to come and manage, to be lords over the land. And everybody that he called and everybody that he equipped for his mission and his purpose, he loaded them with what? Land, cattle, oxen, gold, silver. That's real wealth, not money. We got people working backwards, trying to hold on to money, trying to go work harder for money, wearing themselves out, missing the finer things in life. And I'm not talking about material things. I'm talking about the time with your family. I'm talking about using your muscles until one day you're not going to be able to use your muscles. And if you're using your muscles to make money, when your muscles stop working for you, what you going to do? 401ks is tied to the stock market. Guess what it is not? Land. Land appreciates even if you just buy a piece of dirt and let it sit there. It still appreciates. It rises in value. It don't go down. If you don't do nothing but pull equity out of your land every couple years, you in a good position. If you own you some land, you will never be broke. And that is facts. Okay? Large financial groups are buying up this foreign land. Most of them are foreigners. And the other ones, they want to conceal their identity. So what they'll do is they'll start a Shelf Corp LLC, and then, go and make it hard for you to trace who actually owns the land. But they know that if you own land and water, you have control, you have leverage, and you will always survive. They know that for sure. Okay. Billionaires are not the only ones out here buying land. There are celebrities, there are entertainers. There's a lot of people buying land. I'm going to tell you, one woman, I think her name was, hold on. I don't want to butcher her name. Let me pull it up real quick to give it to you. Hold on one second. I'm finna give you her name. I think her name was like Etta. Hold on one second. See if it'll pull up right here. And she bought 336 acres. I just talked about her. They trying to give me all the other names that I'm not looking for, but I think her name was oh my goodness. I'm wasting time trying to look. But I want to bring this up because I'm gonna drive in a point with this. Madam C.J. Walker. Stop playing with me. Yes, Madam C.J. Walker. Okay. I thought I said Etta. I thought it was Etta. Madam C.J. Walker. Now, let me tell you what Madam C.J. Walker did. She went and purchased 336 acres of land in New York, okay, like in 1919. That land right now is still being lived upon, still appreciating, still taking care of her family 102 years later because she owned land. Because she owned land, she set her family up for a lifetime, okay? For a lifetime. She left a legacy that outlived her for a whole entire lifetime. And that is so powerful because I know that my elders left us land. It was that middle generation that sold it all. Not only did they leave us land, they left us insurance policies. The grandchildren had insurance policies from their grandparents. but the mamas and the aunties traded in the insurance policies, sold the land. They did not keep wealth in the family. On top of, whenever we created wealth, through land, it was some type of, plot, come in, steal our territory, our own kind begin to sell it off, deceptive practices, unfair taxes, and different things of that sort, which now we are land bankrupt. We don't own land anymore. But that was not always the story. Do you know that slaves own land? They understand that when I go and I learn this skill to do it for massa, to plant, to harvest, to study, to cultivate, to nourish, how to be, the resource, not only for my community, but for a whole entire economy and globally. They learned that working on plantations, picking cotton, planting seeds. They learned that, right? So then after they learned it and they were free and slavery was abolished, they took them same skills and them trades and they bought land so that they can work, they can have freedom. They didn't have nobody controlling them, because what they saw, what they learned, working on the plantation was really beneficial, even in a brutal situation, because our people own land. Lake Lanier up in Beaufort, Georgia, Rosewood, Bulkley, Oklahoma, all at Black Wall Street, all of these places where we owned cities. We own agriculture, farmland. We raise cattle, oxen, because you will never, ever be broke. You will always have financial freedom. And there will always be legacy left through land. That is what I want to say. Now, back to this real quick, because I ain't got a whole bunch of time. I'll give y'all an opportunity to get in on this. But Madam C.J. Walker bought land that is still blessing her family to this day, 102 years later. Waka Flocka Flame. Some people know him, some people don't. But he is a rapper. He's a celebrity who uses land to provide passive income for him. He leases out his land. It also provides long-term wealth preservation, and he's building generational wealth with assets that do not depreciate like cars or jewelry. So he ain't out here trying to flex with big chains on that sound like soda cans and all of this foolishness. No, he is putting his money into assets that don't depreciate. Cars depreciate unless you got the right kind, but land does not. It appreciates. You can buy land for $300 that's already valued at $1,200. By next year, as more stuff becomes, being built around this land, then listen, the more it increases in value, because now you have growth around that land. Infrastructure, zoning, and rules. Let me tell you how land gives you power to make rules in, in the zoning department, in the infrastructure, the development. When you own a lot of land and you go buy farmland, now you get to shape the rules of the game. You get to go to zoning zoning, down in zoning, and you get to lobby for rules that protect their interests, like, hey, my water or my tax exemptions. You get to go down there and push for changes, for things that infrastructure. Once you buy the dirt, you own the infrastructure pretty much, in a sense, around that dirt. Okay, irrigation systems can come in. We need renewable energy, processing facilities, data facilities. So this allows you to pass bills and make legislation that will benefit you and give you the biggest tax break of them all. Okay, so It gives you that capability to be in a position of power, even over governmental, regulations and different things of that sort. You can change legislation because you own a big swath of it. Okay, if I'm buying it over here in this rural area, I bought 20, 30 acres, then I have rights to say what rules should be passed that benefit me, and then people moving in down the line. Okay, so it gives you a lot of leverage. And then lastly, what I'm going to cover is farmland is just like a giant life insurance policy for the wealthy. It protects assets from inflation. It produces steady cash flow. It can be passed down to your heirs tax efficiently, and it gains values over decades as land become scarcer. Okay? So billionaires are not just into buying farmland. You shouldn't either be into buying farmland just for what you can get from it today. No, this is about locking in wealth plus power for generations to come. And you do get to enjoy the fruit of your labor while you are alive and you are well. Okay. This buying land and having land, I'm going to sum it up like this. It is inflation proof wealth. It's tax free or tax reduced income, water rights and natural resources, survival and food security, long-term legacy. And they're playing this game where they are buying, infrastructure and buying, dirt to build infrastructure. They are also, controlling, the zoning laws, what can be built, what cannot be built. They're making the rules. We need to get back to the basics. Our elders, especially minorities in the South, own millions of acres of farmland. That land produced not only food, it produced jobs, and it produced generational wealth. After slavery, land ownership was freedom and survival. That's why they went after it heavily. Okay. And through discrimination, ignorance, all of that stuff, we lost it. Between 1910 and 1997, Black farmers lost about 90% of their farmland in the United States. Here's the consequence and the truth. Without land, we not only just lost wealth, but we lost control over food, over water, and over independence. That's why we're so fat, so unhealthy, so out of shape, because we have to buy what they sell to us. We don't own it. We don't grow it. We don't cultivate it. Okay? Many families were forced back into cycles of poverty and dependency because we lost land. If billionaires are buying farmland in 2025, that is a signal for us. We need to get back in the game, okay? It's not too late. Land can be bought cheap in certain counties through auctions, tax sales, land banking, share sales, all kinds of ways, okay? Farming and food security should be our number one concern. Tiny homes and housing development, we can offer affordable housing in our communities. Renewable energy, we can start being the face or the force behind solar energy and windmills and different things of that sort. Or we can start taking back our communities by creating community centers and safe spaces. Okay? You can also build a community and pool together to buy land to do all of the above. I want to offer you an opportunity to build you some generational wealth with other like-minded individuals, create you some food security, leverage that land for funding, buy dirt cheap so you can get dirt rich. It will give you job skills. You can allow, like I said, conservationist programs, different things of that sort, schools, the local community to come out and learn about farming, how to start an agribusiness, food production, work and training for the next generation. You can have bargaining power in politics, zoning, and development by owning land. And I really would love to be able to teach you all of this. I really would love to be able to show you how you can go buy land for as little as $1. How you can go buy you some houses, start you, some transitional homes, some group homes, start you some elderly homes, some independent living homes, some sobriety homes, some, halfway homes, so many different things. If you wanted to just use dirt and start a RV park, short, small RVs, $80 a month. Medium-sized RVs, $150. Big trucks, $200 a month. You literally can generate you $20,000 every single month just off of dirt. You ain't got to do no maintenance to the dirt. You ain't got to you don't got no tenants, take care of no toilets. You just own the dirt. And now you've created you passive income. While you are creating passive income, your land is appreciating. Why? Because now it has infrastructure on the land. You are leasing it, which causes your land value to go up in price. You can do seller financing on this land. I teach all of this. How you can take land that you bought for $1,500, sell it for $7,500, let somebody put down $500 as a down payment, $250, payments for the next 2 to 3 years. You keep the title, they make the payment. If they default on the land after 60 days, then they lose all the monies that they paid for. You take back possession of the land and then you resell it again. I know it sounds rhymy, but I say that to say certain businesses will do seller financing because they need to lease your land to raise their cattle on it. They need to lease your land to grow some hay for a year. So they will say, instead of me going to go buy land for $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, let me just go ahead and give her $500 down, $250 a month. After the time that I don't need it anymore, then I can go ahead, walk away from it. I'm not locked into no contract or none of that. She reclaims her land back. She keeps the payment as if I was renting the land, because that's what I'm doing. So there's so many different ways, benefits, how to get money and funding to buy this land, how I can send you to places that will fund your community development ideas, that will fund, buying the land and building whatever it is you want to build on the land. So many things that we are doing. So many things we are doing in land banking. This is where you become the bank. When you do seller financing, you become the bank. This is helping people who cannot go, like immigrants, go to a traditional bank and get approved for land. They like to come together and they like to build and they like to raise their cattle. Also, so many different ways, y'all. I don't want y'all to miss it. The mentorship. For the land banking mentorship, it is a 12-week mentorship. Teach you everything about funding, how to build your business credit, where to go get monies without even having an LLC to buy the land. Like I said, where to find this land dirt cheap, where to find real estate dirt cheap, buy houses for $1,000 or less. You can go buy a whole entire home, that's from like a government auction. They sell it for $30,000. It's valued right now $300,000, $400,000. It's yours, clean across the board. These are all of the things you get to learn inside of the land banking mentorship. Most importantly, we do have where we go out and we will scout for land. If we're doing like a community project, if they have, like we just had an auction that had a whole bunch of homes for VA members, for those who are part of the VA. They were selling like blocks, a whole 4 blocks of these. You rent them for $800 a month. They were selling them for a little bit of nothing. Like you could actually buy for under $50,000 the whole blocks, literally. And you can pool together, You're part of a community that can pull together and do deals with you so deals can get done. You can flip the land. There's so many different things you can do. And I teach this in this mentorship. The investment is $997, but the return on investment is endless. It's generational. Take the trash, call cash, because they depreciating the dollar and devaluing the dollar, and it gets you some assets that's going to safeguard you, preserve you and your family for a very long time. I don't care what kind of currency they try to implement. It doesn't matter what kind of shenanigans they come with. You own land, you have power, you have control, you have leverage, you have survival. Okay? You have success. You have wealth. You can always barter land. You can always barter land. And land has never gone anywhere. They're not making more of it. So if you own it, you control. You're in control. Now you're not negotiating whether you have somewhere to live. Now you're not worried about if you wanted to go pull a RV on your land, it's yours. There's no rent involved. None of that. No landlord bothering you. None of that is yours. Okay? I'm only taking 5 more people into the land banking mentorship, and then we will close that down, put that aspect back into the mastermind, because I have a 12-month mastermind. This is a portion that is taken from that mastermind to show you how to get to the bag fast and how to scale the bag, safeguard the bag, put your land in a trust so it can never be taken from you, how to do things to make sure your land stay in your generations forever. Okay? 5 spots, $997 is the investment. Show you where you can go buy land instantly. And for those that are action takers mean those, hey, I'm ready to go. The first 3 out of the 5, well, you pay your $997, you go ahead and get you some land when you come into the mentorship. So you're going to get you a piece of land, maybe a 1/4 acre of a land. It's going to be some land, okay? It's going to be yours. It's going to be something you can set on, let it appreciate, be something you can flip, be something you can build upon. But I don't know no mentorship that's actually going to hand you some land as you join the mentorship. I want you to win, friends. So for the first 3 action takers, it will come with some land, okay? With that being said, information, all payment information is on the screen. Right above the ticker that you see scrolling across the screen is the payment information, contact information, PayPal with payment processing platforms I take. Make sure you include your email whenever making a payment, etc. It will also be in the details of this video. I look forward to seeing y'all on the inside, and we doing big deals. Hey, the cleanest way to make money is to buy you some dirt. Peace.